As always, we'll start with public input. Brian, has anybody signed?
No.
Nothing that I've heard. Can you come to the mic, please, Deb? Hopefully it's on.
So I live on 7259 Rose Court, which is a cul-de-sac or a dead-end street with about 35 houses on it, and the residents on the east side of the street, which is where I live, and the town of Wheatfield own property that is part of a lake that is part of the southern drainage system, and it serves approximately, I count, 290 homes, and streets through Norman and Windber. Earlier in the month, the roads flooded for a full 3 days. It's better than 7 days, but it's still an unacceptable situation for the people that live on Will Rose. So I have questions for the highway department and the engineering firm. Are they here today? Yeah? Okay.
Wendell is here. Yeah.
So I guess my questions are, first of all, maintenance logs. Are there maintenance logs maintained for the lake and the drainage system? As far as how often they're either reviewed, I know you guys walk the drainage system, as far as putting snakes through the pipes to see if there's blockage. Is there any maintenance logs? Three years ago. Right. Well, I guess I'd like to suggest maybe we have more annual clean outs of critical ditches and pipelines, underground pipelines. Well, well, I think maintenance is obviously critical to the system. And the other thing I was wondering, is there a detailed map that exists at the highway department that shows when each street was added to the lake? Because I'd be curious to see, like, when the last engineering study was done and how many streets were assumed to be flowing into this lake and how many streets are now flowing into that lake. And also I'd like to know what the immediate plans are, the short and the long-term plans for fixing this problem as far as pumping and some more short-term things that we can do.
Debbie, I can say that we've had a lot of discussion this weekend. Paul and I had discussions. Tim and I had discussions. Tim was over there. Dave Britton was over there from GHD. There is more thinking for us to do and more discussion for us to have. We need to get the drainage committee together again and just see if there is something that we can do which may be the next step. It is better. The water did go down in 2 days. You'll remember when I first came into office 8 years ago, it took 10 days to come down.
I've been on that street 10 years, so I know exactly how long it takes.
It used to be a lot worse. Now it's better. It's not perfect. It probably won't be.
It's still unacceptable, would be the term, right?
We need to spend some time together to talk about what steps we can still take.
Okay. So, like I said, I was wondering when the last engineering study was done. Was there a full-blown study done, like in 2004 when it was redone?
GHD just did an engineering study, town-wide drainage. And that was done over
He
the
does
last
have
2
some
years.
comments that we need to look at, but he wasn't doing an engineering study of flows. I've never seen that.
Did the original engineering study include certain maintenance patterns, required maintenance for the pipeline? Well, I think it's pretty critical, right? When you have a very flat area, I mean, obviously, all of these things can turn into big problems. I think that on a shortest term basis, I'd like to see an emergency pump situation or a plan that would pump the water down faster than 3 days. Well, we need to have a place to pump the water too. I mean, there has to be a plan. Okay, well, my backyard is the lake, so are you assuming my backyard or the other side of the street? Okay. Well, I mean, you have to have a ditch to pump it into. I mean, you have to have a plan to where you're pumping it to. Mhm.
It shouldn't come back.
Mhm.
Up to the level that the pipe under Ward Road can handle. At some point, you're going to be coming up to above the Hall Road. That's why it takes discussion.
It takes a lot. And you know what? I'm not an engineer, so obviously I don't have all the answers. But, you know, I don't want this to stop because the flooding is gone for the week. And my question for you, sir, would be, why do you think the drainage system is failing? What do you think is the biggest problem? I mean, it certainly wasn't an extreme 100-year storm or any of those things. I was wondering what you think are some of the suggestions.
I think, Debbie, that those questions need to be asked amongst all of us at a drainage meeting, which are open meetings. If you want to attend, you could come to one of the drainage meetings.
Okay.
Paul's got to call one, and then we need to get together with our engineering staff and anybody else who's interested and have those discussions.
I have a question for you, sir, also. So when the road floods, the town personnel come down and open up the Hall Road, and I've heard that that is for sale or has been sold, and I was wondering, what are we supposed to do when that road is not available, that private property road is not available to us?
That's a problem that we haven't crossed. There were people looking at it, and I believe the property was surveyed. I don't know that it was actually sold. It may have been.
Okay, so what is the pitch of the road and how far out are your wheels? So,
I necessarily wrote to, if we were at a point where somebody couldn't drive down the road, it wasn't a thing, you couldn't drive down 50 miles an hour, then the road, the post doesn't have any, somebody really would walk the road, nothing like that, 3-4 wide. So it's looking for walk, it's not gonna, until we come up with an answer, like I say, it's not gonna be granted, we will be able to get out. I feel it's a little more, 4 or 5
property that was sold
the
by,
residents have to be driving.
absolutely.
They have minimal water, I mean, that's what they're gonna.
And I can tell you that it's not 6 inches there. It's deeper in that center pitch of that street. And then there's what, about 4 or 5 inches of pitch of the road maybe? What is the pitch between the center and the driving lane?
Like I said, I was down there every day, last night, I was water, was just gonna go back, and everybody was tired.
I walked through it, it was clearly above my ankles and middle of my thighs at probably Saturday.
I think Debbie, we all agree that it's gonna be deeper on the edges of the road than it is in the highway.
Center road. I'm referring to the center.
And there are at least half a dozen houses you have to drive through the depth, the worst of it, so. We'd better
I mean,
move-
I'm fortunate that I can kind of scoot out the Hall Road, but when that isn't available, and then actually my
Well,
last comment too is,
even there, you do have to scoot through this.
absolutely.
You're in one of the areas that's almost at the deepest spot.
And as far as a dead-end street with 35 homes, I mean, I've heard that cul-de-sacs aren't even legal anymore. What is the status of that? I mean, obviously, I know the road was put in before these new rules.
Cul-de-sacs are still legal, they're discouraged, the way the law is written. Paul is very opposed to adding any cul-de-sacs unless they're these short cul-de-sacs. Even there, he doesn't like them. But,
So I guess you'd
the
call
way
it
the
a dead end then.
way the rules are, cul-de-sacs on long roads are discouraged, I guess is the word to use.
So I guess you'd call it a dead-end street then, since we have 35 houses on our cul-de-sac.
It's not dead end because it does have an escape which may be taken up by a private property owner.
I'd like to, obviously, made my comments and I think it's unacceptable. And I would like follow-up.
Thank you. Brian? Okay. For the record, all board members are present. We do have 2 sets of minutes, one from March 20th meeting and one from the April 3rd meeting. Does anybody wish to move one, the other, or both in for approval?
I'll make a motion for March 20th to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Second by Randy. Anything on the question? Anything anybody wishes to change? If not, then all in favor of approving, say aye.
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 Any opposed? And that's approved.
I'll make a motion for April 3rd, 2017 minutes.
Moved and seconded. Anything on this question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Yep.
opposed?
Abstain.
4 and 0, okay. We have a relatively small bill pay of $297,385.45. The voucher numbers on this are 2017 390 through 589. I need a motion to pay these bills.
Second.
Moved by Art, second by Gill. Any bills anybody wishes to hold? If not, all in favor of paying these bills signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that's approved. Highways, Paul, back to you.
Like we heard, there wasn't flooding going on in town after the snow melt and we had the rain. I will say that Hill Road was one of the places that had issues off. We had issues on Town Line Road, found out it was gonna be there, nothing like that. Couldn't get out, it actually sheared through the whole bottom of garbage can out, the water hoses went down and came out. We run into this everywhere. We do not have our guys do everything, do all these wedding stuff, and then
if I could make one comment, if I saw a garbage can stuck in a ditch at my house, I would not try and pull it out while the water's heavy.
You can't move. You can't, that's why I said we had to make it.
If you can move it, you're very likely to go with it.
Right. We actually had some flooding on the corner of Hunt and Newton. Now, I've been here 27 years old, 27 years. I've never seen that happen twice. When somebody that just got that hot. Kept all the bridges and everything along there. There was a few little things, but nothing that would block the water. Everything was flowing full. Well, all the way through City Niagara Falls, that kept flowing. Everything was open. It's just a lot of water. That's why I said, I mean, I know it's been 3 years, 2 years since that happened. But it was a lot of rain over a long period of time. That's just twice. That was the third time. That's not too often that happened. Another thing, we're doing a tip route now. We are tipping. Start on one side of town, we do the entire town. Sometimes it takes a week, sometimes it takes longer, we try to cover everything in a week. We started making hot patch, the 10th. We were on the 10th, starting to do our hot patch in our roads, when we started doing the maintenance in the roads. We keep getting, I was off today, started doing a little bit of numbers yet. I believe we got an increase in our funding from the state, we were getting $85,000 for our tip money. I believe we have an opening for the state of 30,000 in the state of New York, and so we will get a little extra, a little extra blacktop.
Have you got any kind of an update on Niagara Falls Boulevard? What their plans are?
Sorry, which question was it?
The rebuild.
Not really working out that year. I have not heard nothing else. I mean, I've heard things in the wind that now they're starting to think about things they want to rebuild the bridge here at Ward, but I haven't gotten any definite. No detail meetings, nothing like that. I figured if the town was going to rebuild, 2019, we were doing some advanced grant. They're going to redo Walmart Road, block portion in Niagara Falls Boulevard. That should help us out. The gentleman that called me that did before me the job, I told him that all the crossovers along there would be either replaced or cleaned out. So there was a drain behind your house. We cleaned all that ditch. So the crossover is at Walmart, it's half full, and when you get past that, the ditch starts to fall caved in. The water's flowing through it, but it can flow a lot faster. It's that was done. That's his service, that's the town manager. They would have a lot of flooding down there, I think.
Well, the farmer that complains to you all the time was over yesterday, and he told me everything is good back there. So if he says it's good, it's got to be good.
Rich?
Go along with Paul's flooding that Friday afternoon when they started having all the 18-inch water. We got a call from the corner of Bull Road and Flushing, and lady said, geez, I got water coming up in my front yard. It's lake flooding. Now we were over at one of our valves blew apart, so we had some water into the 18-inch valves that were wrong. Took us a little bit to get it shut down, but we did make the repair. Just a note to everybody to please be patient. We've had a number of calls already for landscaping. It's starting to get dry enough now, so we'll be around. We did start one, clean up a few yards already, but be patient with us. We'll be out there to get it done. Also, our pump station that we're replacing on J1, the fact that did get delivered the other day. They are working on it. They'll be working on it for the next 2 weeks to get it installed and up and running.
Okay, anything for Rich? Mike?
Last week we began our summer camp registration. Spots are filling up rather quickly. We're up over 44, 45 kids a day, so we're going to take up to 60. So if you know anyone that is interested in signing up, I would suggest they get in like tomorrow as soon as possible. We've actually only been taking families that need full time, so Monday through Friday. We don't want we want everyone to come in, but we don't want ones that are just going to sign up for Tuesday, Thursday field trip days. So those days are all booked, and Monday, Wednesday, Friday are kind of hit or miss. So we don't want to turn away families that need the 5 days. And surprisingly, we're almost full. So I'm actually one of them that still got to sign up. Other than that, my guys are out getting fields ready. They're on the first field today, getting that ready over at the American Legion. We got 5 fields at the park. We got the Legion. We have Adams. I know they got a fireman's game Tuesday, which is optimistic. Maybe we can pull it off. But, I'm just going to echo what Richie said about being patient. Like, we have a lot of grass to cut. I got 3 full-time guys. We got like 12 or 13 cul-de-sacs, a cemetery. We got Indicon, the Lions Club, Mario, Beige, and our own park and a complex here. So we'll get to all of it as soon as we can. We'll make a priority list and kind of knock things out little by little. But I know the grass is growing. I got to cut my own grass, but we'll get to it. Other than that, that's all I got.
Congratulations on another successful Easter event.
Thank you. Yeah, it was good. That was a good. We had a very good showing. A lot of board members, a lot of residents, a lot of newbies. It's always nice to see a lot of new faces, a lot of old faces. Staff did a really good job. Lauren, thank you for the write-up before and after the party. Appreciate that. That was a very, very good event for the community.
Thank you, Mike. Anything for Mike? Thanks. Mike Clark. Bridget's not here.
Well, I got a question for Mike.
Go ahead.
When does your new guy start? Next week? So you got all kinds of... Okay. Thank you.
Arlene. Were you able to find enough help to do the taxes that you wanted to get done for your people? Very good. Okay, thank you. Then we'll move to... Then we'll move to Tim Zuber, Wendell.
Thank you. All we have for you this evening is our planning board report, and due to the way the meetings have been working out this month, it's only going to cover our first meeting, so our next meeting isn't until this Wednesday. So the first meeting was on April 5th, and the first item on the agenda was a sketch plan for a Dollar General store. The applicant proposes to construct a single-story, 7,489 square foot Dollar General store at 3887 Mapleton Road. That's the northeast corner of Shawnee and Mapleton. The site will have access from Shawnee Road only and will include landscaping for parking for 30 cars, although there are 40 required per the town, 45 required per the town zoning code. The applicant was advised of several items to include an address in their next submittal, including Niagara County Planning Board review and the need for a parking variance. Variations to the parking requirements of the code are reviewed by the town board based on recommendations from the planning board. If you seem to recall, we did that with the dentist's office and with Albies. The planning board did recommend in favor of the parking variance with the condition that the applicant provide parking data from their other stores that justifies the deviation, which they said they have a lot of data they can supply to you. No other action was taken. The next item was a sketch plan for retail sales for Mr. Serbert. The applicant proposes to subdivide the existing lot at 2921 Niagara Falls Boulevard. One of the new lots will be for the existing house, which he wishes to sell, and the remainder will be for the applicant's business. The planning board advised the applicant that an access agreement would likely be required for the one driveway culvert that serves the site, and that if future business development is proposed on the property, a structural assessment of and potential improvements to the culvert may be required. In addition, any future development proposed after subdividing would require planning board approval. No action was required or taken. The next item was a site plan for Horvath cell tower installation. The applicant actually proposes to amend their approved site plan for their cell tower at 6571 Shawnee Road. The cell tower remains at 164 feet in height, but the size of the fence compound at the base of the tower was reduced from 70 by 70 to 70 by 50. The change was requested because the applicant reconfigured the layout of their ground equipment and no longer required the same amount of space. Planning board approved the revised site plan with the conditions of the previous December 2016 approval. The last item was the site plan for El Cubilete. The applicant proposes to construct a 2,450 square foot restaurant on the southeast corner of Williams Road and Cayuga Drive Extension. The improvements will include parking for 35 vehicles, new utility services, and site landscaping. The planning board issued a negative declaration under seeker and subsequently approved the site plan with noted conditions and contingent upon engineering review. And that's a summary of our meeting. Any questions?
Thank you.
That's all
Anybody?
I have. Okay, thank you.
We do have motions, Matt.
Yes, first one's from Budget Director. Be it resolved, the town board does hereby approve the following 2016 year-end budget transfers in order to balance the out appropriation expense accounts at year-end, and that is the list as presented in the motion package.
Moved by Larry, second by Gil. Anything on the question? Ed is here if anybody has any questions. If not, then all in favor of approving these moves, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is approved.
Next motion is to schedule a public hearing on a date May blank to be determined at blank PM at the Wheatfield Town Hall to discuss local law amendments for the proposed rezoning of the Niagara Falls Boulevard Overlay District.
I'll go ahead and make that motion, and I'll make it for Wednesday, the 24th at 7 o'clock p.m. If somebody will second. Drew can be here on the 24th. He could not be here on the 22nd and didn't give me any other dates, so this is a good date. Second by Art. For interest of anybody who may not be aware, the town board is looking into, the task forces and the planning board has looked into rezoning Niagara Falls Boulevard, where virtually all of the properties that are contiguous to Niagara Falls Boulevard would become commercial throughout their whole property. So if they're 200 feet deep, they'd be commercial 200 feet. If they're 400 feet deep, they'd be commercial all the way back to 400 feet. There would be a few other changes in the law if it goes ahead as it's proposed by the task force. And this would be a public hearing on that issue so that we could actually take action after that. Very important that we get input from as many people as we possibly can. So if you live anywhere near the boulevard, you might want to be there for that meeting. If you're just interested, you might want to be there for that meeting. Anything else?
That's May 24th, Bob?
May 24th. It's a little over a month away. Gives us time enough to get out whatever notice we need to be able to get out and be able to hold the public hearing that night. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved.
Next motion from Director of Personnel to approve the job posting for Deputy Water Source Superintendent.
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved by Gil, second by Randy. After, what is it, about 40 years, I believe Mike Skeevy is retiring, and good for him. He's been a big asset to the town all these many years. He's going to be dearly missed, but it is time for us to find Rich a good replacement. So we'll be posting, if we approve this, we'll be posting shortly. Anybody have anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's approved. Did we have one more?
And then I have one from,
Recreation.
Recreation Department to hire following individuals as park guards: Alexis Eustace, Summer Chabelle, Lisa Demler, Jacob Collins, and Kristen Kutke. And as groundskeepers, Benjamin Kroll, Jonah Kroll, Brock Croning, Steve Bartolomeo, and Jamie Martin as summer seasonal help for the Parks and Recreation Department at a rate of pay and job terms pursuant to job specifications for Parks and Recreation Department seasonal help and approval of Human Resources Department and Niagara County criminal background check.
Do we have a motion? Moved by Art. Need a second?
I'll second.
Second by Larry. Anything on the question? All in favor of hiring these youngsters, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mike, you can bring him in. Is that it?
That's all I have for motions tonight.
Okay. We're probably going to have an executive session again at the end of the meeting, but at this time we'll go on to board members' items. Larry?
We have a date for our Liberty Drive cleanup. It's going to be the last Saturday in April, April 29th, 9 a.m. Cub Scout Pack 833 and other scouts and individuals will be there. This will be our 26th year doing it. I know the Tribune Gazette has covered this in the papers. It's appreciated. It's helpful in this thing for stormwater management too, Mike. When we, pick up a 5-gallon jug of motor oil or something like that, the scouts get that, and it doesn't make its way into the waterway. So it's noted in our stormwater, and it's a very good task that these scouts do to keep our waterways clean and clear of debris. I had another question though for Paul. April 29th? Is it the last Saturday?
Yeah, that's the last Saturday of April.
Okay. I had a question though. Paul, at a meeting or two ago, you mentioned about catching some people back there on Liberty Drive. How did we fare on that? Did all those addresses and summonses and tickets and fines all get processed, or do we know?
Yeah, I forwarded that to the court. I don't think we've seen it in court yet, but yes, there was a bill for some restitution.
Okay. It'd be good if we could make some publicity on their names so that other individuals don't want to get named in the future. Earlier in the discussion, it was mentioned about that New York State DOT property that's behind the mall, the lakes, and part of our drainage. I know Richie Donner's mentioned that there's a water line on that property, and we've got our southern drainage that goes through maybe a piece of that property. Do we know, is your water line still an issue, Rich, if that's sold? Do we know? I mean, it was made reference that it was sold, but I don't know. Has it been sold? The New York State DOT property? Maybe it's the old LaSalle Expressway?
I forwarded information to the DOT that we were interested at the minimum easements over that section, and they have not proceeded forward with placing that property up for auction. In fact, the last conversation I had is our intern had contacted them to find out what the holdup was, and the woman in charge said she was out of town for an illness. So, my light on. So she was out of town for an illness, so I'm waiting to hear back from the DOT, but at this point they have not moved forward with the auction or sale of the property, so it's still as is. But they are aware. I filed a specific application to, at the minimum, maintain an easement for the town.
Good. As long as it's on our radar screen, to keep an eye on it.
Yeah,
We don't really want to work at cross purposes to the landowner. The person that owns that is the same one that owns the mall, Summit Mall. And he
Oh,
has,
no,
he
no.
has a vision, but we have to protect ourselves as
well,
well.
I don't know if he owns it, I mean, he doesn't own it yet. It's-
DLC owns this right now.
Yeah, I mean, when it goes up for auction, he may be a
He may be
possible
one of
bidder.
the, he may be the purchaser.
He owns the land on both sides.
Yeah.
Purchase?
The purchaser.
It's a purchase.
Purchaser.
Purchaser.
So that's what Matt was working on, is trying to make sure that we don't lose our easement in that area. Or take delivery of the land. Anything else, Larry?
And then the public hearing on the zoning of the Niagara Falls Boulevard, I was doing a quick search on the website. There's information out there about it, but I was looking for the actual maps. I mean, it'd be helpful if someone could see the proposed maps. I don't know, Tim, if you could get that stuff over to Kathy or Don, so that we can get it posted on the website. I think that'd be good for individuals to see what the current and what the future plans of the zoning maps and what they're gonna look like.
I think Drew still had some cleanup work to do. That's one of the things he had to do.
But if people start calling us, I'm gonna direct them to the website, so if it's not there, you're gonna come back to me and say, where is it? That's all I have.
Bill?
I don't have anything tonight.
Art, anything?
Just a couple of quick meetings. April 27th, Comprehensive Planning Board. There's about 10 or 12 focus groups there. Meeting convenes at 6:30. Public is welcome to come and attend. And on May 1st, Fire Advisory Board meeting downstairs at 7 p.m. Downstairs they have a room where they get together. And that's everything I have.
Okay. Randy?
I have nothing.
Couple of things. Buffalo River Keepers in the last 2 years have had a project each spring. This year their project is to help clean up Burkholz Creek, and it's mostly in the area off of Sawyer Drive, over where the theater used to be, for those of us that are old enough to remember. They cleaned that up last year. They got so much mess off it, they're going back this year and see what it looks like. Rich is going to have some recycling barrels ready for them, and we'll take care of the garbage when it's done. That's our part of it. But they're looking for volunteers, so anybody who wants to volunteer, Kathy has sign-up sheets, or a way to sign up. Love to see you there. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make it this year. The other thing I got in was just today is a message from Governor Cuomo's office that he's putting out a release that the state DOT is going to extend their testing on the area around the landfill. The plan the DOT has been working on for the last several months was to test at the perimeter of the landfill, put some monitoring devices into the ground and actually do some deep test bores. The governor has apparently convinced them to go further, to even go back into the backyards of the people along Forbes and Nash Road. It's great for the town of Wheatfield. It's great for the people in Forbes. It would be the best thing for everybody would be if they find that it hasn't, that there isn't any material escaping. But we won't know that until that's done. He actually expects that to happen very soon, that this spring they will expand that out and get that work done. He also mentioned in that discussion that DASNY has now approved the $75,000 payment towards the fence in that area. I've not gotten that official word yet, although I did see an email today with Bernie and somebody from DASNY about another question, engineering question. But it sounds like that has now been approved. So, Tim, let's work a little faster on the bid specs and let's get that done this year. And I think that's all I have at this point. So, we're back to public input. Maybe before that I'll mention that our next meeting is May 1st, same day as the fire board meeting, 7:30 p.m. I don't think we have any preliminaries on May 1st. So we're back to public input. Is there anybody who wishes to speak on any subject before the town? Yes. I guess I'd have to ask Paul on that one. There really isn't a turnaround unless they use right by Alan's house, if they turned around right at his house in that field. I think it's a city line. You're probably right, but I hate for me to have to contact Art and have it go down through the system. It would be better, Paul, these things are handled between towns regularly. It just happens. And I'm sure one phone call from Paul will get it taken care of.
It's just recent though, the last big snowstorm we had, I mentioned to Paul that, there was like a half a dozen North Tonawanda trucks that came down our road. I said we had more North Tonawanda traffic than we did Wheatfield traffic, but it seemed like just this winter that they decided that they were going to do it. Okay.
I know you said the one time that on Reddit dog was maybe the petrol movie.
Yeah.
Now that I know that, I know we did that one before, and I was, well, maybe it's just sure we don't want to turn around and do this turn around, but they're doing it all the time. I don't want them on that road anyway, so it's better with us.
Yeah. Need some volunteers, Chet. And even the wind blowing off the river road, the north side of River Road looks like a dump. Everybody's garbage on the south side of River Road, when it blows or snow plows hit it, gets all pushed, and nobody goes across the street, like Paul says, to pick up a milk carton or anything. They just leave everything over there.
He will.
I won't. Mike will. It's building.
And I think trees that naturally fall within a wooded area, there's no rule against that. If they want to cut it down, they can. If they don't want to cut it down, that's their option. You're the lightning rod. Okay, anybody else? If not, then I will ask for a motion to go into executive session on a contract issue. Moved by Art. Do we have a second? Second by Gil. All in favor of going into executive session, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?